Hello and welcome to the Tarkis Zone. Thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be doing another review here on Amazon. I've been waiting to do my next Amazon review. I do quite a bit of purchasing through Amazon, but I felt that this needed to go to the front of the list of things I want to review. I've actually changed my review style a little bit since my last reviews. Try to own products a little longer before I review them. But this one I had to really jump on. I've only owned it a few days, but I will say, just in the few days that I've owned it, I've put probably about 10 to 12 hours of gameplay on this thing, and I will have to say that remembering playing this game back in the 80s when I was a kid, to playing this unit here that you see on the screen, it was like bringing back memories of my childhood. This was the game that everybody played. When I went to the roller rink as a kid, in a skate rink, this unit was in the arcade that they had there. All the roller rinks back in the 80s, they all had full arcade. So you could go out and do your circles on the roller rink, and then when you were bored, you could go play in the arcade. I imagine in the 80s, that kind of scenario was a gold mine for businesses. And then as Nintendos and PlayStations came out onto the market, arcades kind of faded away. For me, just the memory of the my childhood and all the fun I had in arcades. When I saw this unit on Amazon, I had to have it. Now this is what they call a 2/3 scale. It's not as big as the original. It's a little smaller than the original, but honestly, you don't really notice it. And for me, it's all about space. And I got a game room. It's about space. I'm going to show you some pictures of the unit setup, and it's being smaller, it's more manageable. Now the other thing you need to take into mind, that this is modern technology that they've got in this unit. This Arcade1Up is who makes these things. And let me give you a little background before I get into the details of this unit. Is Arcade1Up had got some crappy reviews back in the day. When they first started up, they were trying to keep their 2/3 scale or 2/3 scale units at a reasonable price. But by doing that, they were lacking quality. And what happened was, is people were like slamming them online, saying, "Guys, yes, it's 200 bucks, but it's garbage. The buttons break. The toggles are not working right. The spinners are not working right. Why isn't the marquee lighting up? Why isn't this?" So what happened was, is this secondary business came online called modding. And what these guys were doing, these guys and girls that were going out and buying these things early on, they were going to third party modding people to get the good quality buttons, to get the deck plating, to get the light up marquee. So this third kind of market formed around these machines. Well, Arcade1Up decided that, okay, well, we were trying to give a product for 200 bucks. Now are people willing to pay $400 and get a better product? And the answer was yes. People were willing to pay the extra $200 to get a quality product that they didn't have to go find parts for. And that's what this generation is. These Arcade1Up, the unit that we're looking at here is what I call their next generation in line. Meaning that it's got the light up marquee, it's got the plating for the controller. It's just quality. It's exactly what you want. Now with this unit, it's got a kind of like a flying joystick, so it doesn't have a toggle or doesn't have a bunch of buttons. Now, Arcade1Up is going to be releasing some new models moving forward. So if you're interested in buying one of these products directly from them, you just go to their website. I think moving forward with that company, after doing some research, most of their future products will be coming from their website. So you might find them here on Amazon, but you might not. Now I know Golden Axe will be coming out. There's like NBA Jam, which is going to be Wi-Fi compatible, where if when you're playing that game, you actually are playing against other players. I don't believe it's going to have a chat function or anything like that. It'd be as, instead of playing against the computer, you'll be playing against actual people, or you'll be able to choose that, obviously, I should say that. So that's going to be their first unit with Wi-Fi capability with joint play. So let's get back to the Star Wars cabinet that we've got here. Now, again, they're a little smaller, and I'm going to be showing you pictures that I took of my unit so that you can see for size comparison. You're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna notice much of a. I mean, if you're hardcore person that likes arcade games and wants to shell out the money for the original, you're looking at $3,000-4,000 easily for this machine if you can find it and find it in good condition. So you're looking at that much money to get the original, and the original has 1980 parts. So if it's breaking down or whatnot, the parts are going to be scarce for you. This unit here from Arcade1Up, it's all modern. They've just basically made it feel like the original. It's all got modern software. I imagine if something stops working, they're going to replace it. Now that's something you need to know about Arcade1Up, is their whole process of problem solving is through a ticket through their website. So you can't get to them through email. You can't call them. You create a ticket on their website. You put your information in that you have this issue, and it takes 3 or 4 days for them to get back to you. That seems to be the reality across the board. But when people have finally gotten to that point where they replied, I think, based on what I've seen, they've been really easy to work with to get the parts you need that are broken. Now, my unit worked fine. There was a kind of a pause there when I first got it together and I turned on the on switch and nothing was coming on. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy because I just put this thing together. But I didn't realize that in the back of the unit, behind the screen on the back side, there's another on switch there. So you make sure that's in the on position, go back to the front of the unit, hit the on button, and it was working great. I don't know if they've got a picture of those on and off buttons. They don't, and I don't think I really took. Oh, there they are. I'm sorry, they do right there. So you see, they got the on and off button, so you can shut the machine off, turn it on whenever you want. It powers completely down. The marquee shuts down, and that's that. It's powered down. I leave mine on 24/7. I've got that thing on. It's lit up. You'll go see some pictures of this thing. And what's great about it too is the volume control. The older units, the Arcade1Up older units, used to have 3 volume settings: mute, mid, and max, and that's it. These new units, actually, that toggle there that you see allows you to put it on whatever sound number you want. So right now, I don't know if you heard it in the background when it was doing its siren call, because that's the beauty of these old machines. Remember in the arcade, you'd be walking through the arcade and you'd be like, all of a sudden you heard your favorite game fire, and it's like, oh, it's calling to me, and you go shove your quarters into it. So this unit has that. So I think it's maybe every 15, 20 minutes, it kind of does some, there it goes, if you can hear it now, it does some music to say, hey, come shove some quarters into me. Well, obviously there's no quarters put into these units. These are what they call free play. So, when your game ends, you can just fire up the next game, and that's how these units work. But going back to the volume, I think the volume goes all the way up to 20. Right now, the volume, I've got it at 10. At 20, you can hear this thing all the way up to my 3rd floor in my house. So I've got it right down on 10. When I go to bed at night, I kick it down to 5. And then when I like to have it on 10 to kind of do that siren call thing during the day. I play it more often. I hear that thing go off, and it's like, yeah, I gotta go play that for a while. So it is a fun game. It is definitely as fun as the original. The artwork is beautiful. Let me get into the pictures I took. Here we go. These are the pictures I took when I was unboxing it. Now, keep in mind that the old reviews from Arcade1Up, people complained about damaging, people complained about the packaging, people complained about the units damaged. There was all sorts of quality problems when it's packaging. I believe the company heard people, and since then they've really fine-tuned their packaging, and I didn't have any damaged parts. I had all the parts that I needed. There was nothing, I couldn't complain at all about, I think I get it, well, there's the unit right there that's set up in my game room. And let me see if we'll go through these photos, and I'll explain to you as we go. Now, the box that you see here behind what I got standing, that's the box that it came in. This is how it was packaged with the with the string around it, the plastic band around it. It was well protected. There is an empty box in the whole packaging to stop things from sloshing around. That's the back unit of the screen that I was talking about. You can see right there the on and off switch that I was talking about. It's right there to the back. But that's really your main screen. That's the back side of the video screen. These are some more boxes. As you can see, they were well put together. This is the back plating that goes onto the back of the unit when that's like the last thing that you do. I want to tell you that I put LED lights behind mine. And all that hardware from the LED lights, you can get them, the LED strips, right off Amazon if you want. I think I paid $12 for them. And they fit, I put them in the cabinet, and then I took the lighting and came out that hole that you see at the top of that board, and then I was able to do the outer area of the unit. This is the box. As I first opened it, you can see it's all protected. There was no problems. I think they call this a yoke. I think that's the name that they put on. But this was my first time. You know, this picture is kind of interesting because this was the first time I had held this type of joystick in like 20 years. So it was like, if you're one of those people that get nostalgia for doing things as an adult that you did as a child, this is that moment when you grab a hold of something that you haven't touched for 20 years, but you had put probably hundreds and hundreds of dollars of quarters into this machine back into the 80s. That was this moment. So that was me holding on to that controller. That's just some of the packaging and the whole bag of screws that they give you. Some more of the boxes. This is the side panel, one of the side panels. As you can see, the art is beautiful. They put a lot of work in making sure that this looks nice on the machine. And the only complaint, and it's the same complaint that some other people have, is the fact that the screws that you use to put this together are silver. And granted, you're not going to really notice them all that much because they might look like the stars that you see on the map. But for somebody like me, they should have been black. When you put this thing together, they should have black, you know. And if you, I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see my mouse button. Up here in the corner, you'll see this hole right here where my mouse is. That's where a screw would have gone in. Just imagine that with this silver screw. That's the manual that they give you. They give you a manual to put it together. They give you a manual to put the riser together. We'll talk about the riser in a minute. And then they give you 2 manuals to show you how to play the game. So that's me opening up the manual, or, you know, that's page 1, started the process. I had the entire unit together in 20 minutes. That didn't include the riser. We're going to talk about the riser. So I had the main unit, 20 minutes. And my wife did help me. I would say that my wife did help me with the process. And I'll tell you what her role was. Every time I asked for a screw, she handed me a screw. But there was a point, and I'm just going back here. There was a point with this unit, and I'm going to see if I can find this picture. That's it. That's a light up marquee. So that's lit up as long as the machine's on. That's lit up. It looks awesome. This is the picture I'm looking for. As you can see, you build this entire unit on its side. So you're putting all the things together on its side. And then that wall that you see where my mouse is, that gets put on top of it. The big thing is you want 2 people for this. Because what happened was you got to align all those knobbies. That you see these wooden knobbies that you see on these ends of these boards? Those have to line up with holes on that side when you put it down. So what I ended up doing is putting the top together, getting all those in, and I had my wife apply pressure to that so they didn't pop out. And then I went around and I put all the backs in and then put my screws in. That is the only reason why you would need 2 people for this, because I can imagine me messing with this back side and then the front side popping up on me, and then I have to go back and realign those holes. She was able just to put a little bit of pressure on that, and then I got it all together. 20 minutes tops is what it took me from building. And I didn't need any power tools. I use a Phillips screwdriver. None of the screws go in hard, so you can just put them in. Everything's pre-drilled. It didn't. I mean, I put a lot of things together. So if you've put IKEA furniture together before, this is up your alley. This is it. You know, it's really easy peasy. Okay, that's some more. Okay, so this is a unit. I tried to get the artwork. I got some glare there, so you can't really see the artwork. That's me opening up the box originally. Okay, so this is a good picture of the unit. And again, you'll notice that the marquee is lit up. I've got a little stool there. Now, the unit itself, and this is one of the things back in the day when Arcade1Up started, they didn't give you the riser. The riser, I see if I can get, oh, there it is right there. See this item right here at the bottom, this square thing? That's a riser. So basically the main unit, if you see where my mouse is where my mouse to the top. That's the main unit. But the thing about that is, without the riser, it's just low on the ground. Now, without the riser, because I built the riser last, so I built the main machine because I wanted to make sure it was working. I was able to put a chair right in front of the main machine without the riser, and it was comfortable. It was perfect. So if you don't want the riser, you don't need to put it together. This system comes with it. And I was saying that Arcade1Up did not sell you risers in the past. So what they would do is sell you the main machine. It was low to the ground. You kick a chair in front of it, and then you'd play whatever game you're playing. But the reality to gamers like me, I was always standing when I played these games. And I liked moving around, and occasionally I do on a sit. So the riser is perfect for me. So putting it on the riser, in which we saw there, lifts the machine up, I think, 2.5 feet. So what I can do, I'm 6'1". With the riser, I can stand there comfortably and play that game comfortably. So what I ended up doing is getting this stool. It's a bar stool. And when I sit on that bar stool, I am perfect with the machine. Granted that my feet are off the ground because the bar stool's high and I put my feet on the bar stool rungs, but I can play the game on the bar stool without a problem. So it's up to you as if you want the riser or not. Now, if you've got kids, you don't need the riser if you want the kids to play because they can stand there and play it. Now, the beautiful thing about it is it's not heavy. And the thing just sits on the riser. So what you can do is you can just bear hug the thing and put it on the floor and take it off the riser anytime. Now the instructions tell you to drill it into the riser into the unit. I said no, because I did not want to put holes in that nice side piece. Because what it is which is it's asking you to do, and they're not pre-cut, is to slide the thing into the riser and then put 2 screws on both sides into it, going through that nice artwork. And I was like, no, I ain't doing that. I'm just going to sit it there, and I imagine if you got kids that are like leaning on the thing, then you might have to put those screws in. But I'm not a kid, and I'm not going to be leaning on the thing. So for the 10, 12 hours I've played the thing, it sits on the riser nicely. There's no issues. And again, that's the riser down below. So that's really the pictures that I took for it. Let's go back to here. As you can see, that's that Atari Star Wars at the bottom there. That's the riser. And then the riser at the bottom has artwork all the way around it, even on the backside. That's how much detail they put in this. So the old units they used to sell, predating this game, the other games that they played didn't come with the risers. So you'd have to go to a modding site to get the riser, and then Arcade1Up, actually, if you go to the website, you can buy risers from them. But if you look at their statements that they've made, and at the trade shows that they've gone to, I've watched a few YouTube videos on this. They are saying that every unit is going to come with a riser now. It made no sense, because when they started talking to their customer base, the customer base is like, yeah, why aren't you selling these things with risers? Why is a riser a third-party item? This is crazy. I've seen some videos where people actually made their own risers to lift them up off the ground, and the company said, no, we're listening, we hear you, we're adding risers to these things. So let's talk about the price. The price seems to be high. This one is high. When this one first came out, people backed away from it because I think it was in the $500 range. People were like, it's a little pricey. I can go buy a PlayStation 2 or whatever, a PlayStation 3, whatever they're at right now. I don't play PlayStations, I don't know. So the latest PlayStation console you probably can get for around $500. So people are like, this thing's got 3 games. Why would I spend $500 for 3 games for something like this? And well, first off, $500 is kind of expensive for this thing, but it's still you're buying it for not playing. I'm buying it for the memories that it gave me as a kid. So those to me, I would say would be worth $500. But I waited for this thing to go on sale, and I got it for $399. Well, it's right now it's going for 415, and at that price, I would say easily worth it. If you've got some enjoyment to kind of just kick to the side, not having to be on online world or on the internet to play your games, or if you just want to, chill and play a video game, that this is it. I mean, I have fun with this thing. Every time I sit down and play the thing, I enjoy it every single time. And I've owned it a few days now, and I can't find anything wrong with it. Now, the screens, when you hold down all the buttons at once, well, let's say the machine's on, you hold down all the buttons at once, it will bring you to the main screen. This machine has 3 game modes. It's got Star Wars, the original Star Wars, it's got the Return of the Jedi, and then it's got the Empire Strike Back. And the reason why I said them in that order was because that was the order in which they were released. Believe it or not, I believe Empire Strike Back was the third one, that the video game that they released, because it came out with Return of the Jedi before. So Empire Strike Back was the third video game they made, and it's a little different than the Star Wars one, only for the mapping. The Return of the Jedi is completely different. It's more of it's not a vector game. It's basically you're just moving a speeder and not crashing into things, or the Millennium Falcon, you're not crashing into things. It's not my favorite game. I don't really sit at that machine to play that game. I sit at that machine to play the original Star Wars and the Empire Strike Back, because those are vector games, very similar, very fun. And the yoke, the controller felt exactly like the original. It is a little plasticky, but I don't think, if I had some young kids or some young adults and they were beating on this thing, I imagine over time it might take some damage. But again, I played this thing for 10 hours. I'm really putting it, and it's still holding together just fine. I believe the original one had a rubberness to it, so it was like a rubber. So you got thousands of kids shoving quarters into something. You want to make it durable. The grips are plastic, so you just hard plastic. Not like paper thin plastic. It's hard plastic, so you can really go to town on the thing. It's just that I think over time it might show its age depending on what kind of kids hanging on it or whatever. They do have a wall mount for it, so if you have it up against the wall and you're concerned for it to fall over, I don't know how it could unless you have some kid that climbs to the top of the thing. I don't see how it could fall forward. I mean, it's sturdy. But it's got a wall mount, so you can put it. It's on the back, and you can just mount it to your wall so it doesn't kick forward. And I imagine if you do that, you definitely would not need to screw the riser in if you did that. So I would say, as a purchase, it's a 5 out of 5 for me. I mean, 5 stars for me. I've enjoyed playing it. I did have one problem in the process. Is the fact being is, again, I thought it was an Amazon Prime purchase, so I thought I was going to get it in 2 days, because usually when you see the Prime logo, you get the item in 2 days, and then it wasn't until I was like, well, geez, why haven't I got it yet? So I sent a shipping feedback to the people that fulfilled the order, and I can't remember. It's not what Arcade1Up was not it was another company. When I did it, it was a distributing company that was sending it to me. So I sent them a message saying that, am I going to get this? When am I going to get this? I thought I was going to get it in 2 days. It's now 5 days. Could you give me an update? Well, their reply was like one of the rudest replies that I've dealt with on Amazon. And it was a third-party distributor that was shipping this to me. And it was a rude reply. And I was like, dude, I'm just asking you when I'm going to get it. I didn't need the drama of 8 paragraphs of telling me that It's not legal for us to send this priority because it's too big. And it was a nasty letter. It was a nasty reply to a simple question. So I'm glad to see that they're not the people distributing this now, even though it's the same machine by Arcade1Up. I don't think. Oh no, it's right here. Okay, I'm sorry, they are here. This Fulfillment Solution Wholesaler LLC. Don't bother contacting them because they're just rude as hell. Unless you have some major issues, I would just go to Amazon and talk to their polite people and say these are my issues. Because my dealings with this Fulfillment Solution Wholesaler, that one email that I sent him just asking, when can I expect this thing, and have this this ranty rudeness, like, what are you, an idiot? We're during a pandemic and we're not, this is not high priority. And it just went on and on and on. It's like, dude, I'm just asking you when I'd be expecting the machine. And for me, it was about helping the UPS guy get it out of his truck. I just want to make sure that, if I'm going to expect it on a Thursday, I'll make sure I'm around Thursday to get it out of the truck. So that was, that was the only drawback to this entire process with this unit, is dealing with these rude people over there at Fulfillment Solution Wholesaler. The email was just kind of, it was rude. It was off the wall. It was off topic a lot. It was just like, it seemed like somebody was really stressed and didn't have their coffee in the morning when they sent me the email. And it wasn't a cookie cutter email. It wasn't like one of those emails that you just reply with. It was like somebody took the time and wrote this thing out and sent it to me. I was like, whoa, okay. But I'm still giving the product 5 stars, because it's not Amazon's fault that their fulfillment people are jerks. That's not their problem. But they did this Arcade1Up did give me a product that I've enjoyed playing. I believe I'm going to enjoy playing it for years to come. I can't imagine anything really breaking this thing. I don't have small kids. Like I said, you got the plastic handles instead of their big rubber ones. And again, the original machine, if you were to Google the original machine, the one in the 80s, it's like $4,000 for one of those old machines. Plus, it's got all old technology in it. So if something goes wrong with it, you're going to be kind of scrambling for parts, because I can't imagine many of those parts are still around from the 80s. So this is a perfect replica of it. It's just like, I don't know if I said this earlier, but it's 2/3 size, so it's a little smaller than the original. But you're not gonna, you're just not gonna notice it. I mean, and this also means that you can buy more machines that will fit your game room. So if you got these bulky full-size units, you might be able to get an extra one or extra 2 of these units in that size space as you line them down the wall if you want. So yeah, it is a little on the smaller side, but other than that, it plays beautifully. Well, thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed my review.